Captain Ilara Quinn stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, her eyes scanning the endless expanse of space ahead. Stars shimmered like scattered diamonds, their light reaching across millions of miles, yet beyond them, there was a boundary, a place humans had never crossed. They called it the Galactic Edge. No one knew what lay beyond. No signal had ever returned. No ship had dared linger. But Ilara was human, and humans were curious. "Status report," she said, her voice calm but firm, echoing slightly across the sleek metal bridge. Lieutenant Rylan, young but talented, turned from his console. "All systems nominal, Captain. Engines at full capacity. Shield stable. Life support holding. Navigation shows the edge boundary less than 30,000 kilometers ahead." Ilara nodded, her hand brushing the console as if she could feel the pulse of the ship itself. The horizon's edge was not just a vessel. It was humanity's best hope of pushing beyond the known, testing limits where even their most advanced instruments faltered. "Good," she said. "Everyone, remember the protocol. We are explorers, not conquerors. Stay sharp, stay calm, and stay human." Humans had a reputation across the stars. Alien civilizations often whispered about it. Humans were reckless, loud, and stubborn. But there was one thing no one could deny. They were adaptable. They could survive where others could not. And Ilara intended to prove that today. The crew moved with precision, but beneath the practiced motions there was excitement, fear, and a sense of history. Scientists checked readings. Engineers adjusted power flows, and soldiers ensured security. Among them was Dr. Sayera Khan, chief astrophysicist, whose fingers danced over her instruments, studying the strange distortions in the light near the edge. "Captain," she said softly, almost in awe, "and the stellar patterns are unusual, almost like they're bending, stretching. Our models don't account for it." Ilara leaned closer. "Unusual how?" Sayera's brow furrowed. "It's as if the universe itself shifts near the boundary. Space is thinner in some regions, heavier in others. Light behaves strangely. I've never seen anything like it." Ilara's chest tightened, not with fear, but with exhilaration. This was why humans explored. Not for safety, not for profit, but for discovery. Every anomaly, every unexplained phenomenon was a puzzle waiting to be solved. And humans had a way of solving puzzles no one else could. The ship's AI, Athena, spoke with a voice both soothing and precise. "Captain, external sensors are detecting subspace fluctuations ahead. Probability of unknown gravitational anomalies, 79%. Recommend extreme caution." Ilara smiled faintly. "Athena, we came here for the unknown. Adjust shields for maximum stability, and keep life support at optimum. Full power to engines, steady course." The horizon's edge hummed, a living machine carrying living humans into the dark. Outside, the stars seemed to stretch, their shapes bending in impossible ways. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly human to be here. "Captain," called Lieutenant Rylan, "we're approaching the boundary now. All systems are holding, but I need your confirmation to proceed. Beyond this, sensors may fail completely." Ilara looked at the swirling patterns ahead, feeling the weight of history pressing on her shoulders. "Do it. Humanity doesn't wait for safety. We move forward." With that, the ship crossed the invisible line. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the stars seemed to twist and smear like ink in water. Colors appeared that no human eye had names for. The instruments flickered. Consoles beeped warnings, then fell silent. Dr. Sayera's voice trembled slightly. "Captain, the laws of physics, our laws, are changing here. Light, gravity, even time, they behave differently." "Interesting," Ilara said, keeping her tone steady. Inside, her heart raced. This was it, the unknown. The crew held their positions, some gripping consoles, some staring out the viewports. Humans had faced danger before in wars on hostile planets in deep space, but nothing like this. And yet they adapted. Humans were good at adaptation. "Life signs all stable," Athena reported. "No immediate threats detected. External environment is unknown. Recommend cautious observation." "Good. Keep me informed," Ilara said, "and try not to panic." A low hum ran through the ship, vibrating through metal and bone alike. It was subtle at first, then stronger. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. It was not a warning. It was alive, or at least it felt alive. "Captain," said Lieutenant Rylan, pointing at the main viewport. "Do you see that?" Ilara's eyes widened. At the edge of the galaxy, a shadowy shape loomed, massive, intricate, and impossibly large. It seemed to pulse with light from within, not reflecting starlight but creating its own. Its edges twisted, almost breathing. Dr. Sarah gasped. It shouldn't exist. Nothing that large, that complex, should survive the vacuum and forces out here. And yet, it's here. Humans were explorers, and fear was part of exploration. But they did not flee from fear. They faced it. Alara felt it rise inside her, not panic but determination. This was why they were here. This was what humans did. Steady, she commanded. Engage full sensor sweep. We need to know what we're dealing with. Athena's voice was calm. Sensors returning data, but it is unlike any known pattern. Geometry is non-Euclidean. Matter composition is uncertain. Probability of intelligent origin, high. Alara's mind raced. Intelligent? This structure, whatever it was, might not be a threat. It might not even recognize humans as life. But intelligence implied history, purpose, and answers. Humans had always sought answers. It was in their nature, and no matter what waited here, they would face it. Prepare a landing probe, she ordered. Let's see what we can learn up close without risking the crew. The engineers worked quickly, their human ingenuity at its peak. They improvised designs for the probe to withstand gravitational anomalies and unknown energy fields. Humans could adapt faster than machines, faster than aliens, faster than fear itself. The probe launched, humming as it raced toward the structure. Data streamed back in bursts, forms that defied logic, energies that seemed conscious, patterns that suggested not just intelligence, but memory. Dr. Sarah stared at the readings, awestruck. It's a record, some kind of archive. It holds knowledge. Civilizations long gone, maybe billions of years old. This is beyond anything humans have imagined. Ilara's heart swelled. Humans had crossed the boundary. They had faced the unknown, and they were still standing. Still thinking. Still striving. Prepare for closer approach, she said. Humans have always reached further. Today is no different. The crew worked together seamlessly, each person contributing in ways machines or aliens could not. Courage, creativity, intuition, teamwork, this was humanity. And humanity was unstoppable when it worked as one. As the horizon's edge moved closer to the structure, the stars around them seemed to fade, replaced by a luminous web of patterns, a cosmic tapestry unlike anything in known space. Alara stood at the bridge, looking at her crew, at the wonders unfolding before them. She felt a quiet pride. Humans were not just explorers. They were creators, problem solvers, dreamers, and fighters. And out here at the very edge of the galaxy, they were exactly where they were meant to be. The journey had only just begun. The horizon's edge glided silently through the strange, shimmering void at the edge of the galaxy. Outside the viewports, the stars were no longer familiar. They stretched and curved, their light bending in ways that made the human eye dizzy. Colors no one had names for swirled through space, painting a cosmic storm that seemed alive, as if the universe itself was watching. Captain Alara Quinn stood at the bridge, her hands gripping the rail. She had commanded ships before, faced hostile planets, solar flares, and alien attacks, but nothing like this. This was raw unknown, the kind of unknown that could unmake even the bravest human. Yet humans had a reputation for surviving the impossible. Lieutenant Rylan, scanning the readings, looked pale. Captain, our instruments are failing. Navigation arrays can't map space beyond this point. It's unstable. Alara did not flinch. Humans don't rely on instruments alone, Rylan. We adapt. We observe. We survive. At that moment, Dr. Sayera Khan's console beeped urgently. Captain, I'm not sure what I'm seeing. The structure, the archive, its edges are shifting. It's like it's alive, or aware of us. Alara leaned closer. The structure they had first glimpsed was no longer just a shape in the void. It moved almost imperceptibly, as if studying them. Light pulsed along its surface, forming geometric patterns that bent perception itself. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly incomprehensible. Athena, Alara commanded. Analysis. Is it sending signals? Any patterns? The ship's AI responded, calm and precise. External readings indicate energy pulses, non-random patterns. Probability of intelligence, 92%. Cannot determine intent. Recommend extreme caution. Caution, Alara repeated aloud. Yes, but caution does not mean fear. Humans move forward, even when others hesitate. Ready the external probes. We need data. Engineers and scientists scrambled to launch the first probe, a small craft designed to withstand unpredictable energy fields. The probe darted forward, sending streams of data back to the horizon's edge. The readings were overwhelming. The structure was composed of materials that defied human physics. Its surface fluctuated between solid and semi-transparent, bending light and energy as if it had no fixed form. Within it, currents of glowing filaments shifted endlessly, like neural networks in a massive cosmic brain. Dr. Syra's voice trembled. It's recording. Knowledge, perhaps memories. Entire civilizations. Stored in there, maybe. I can't even process it fully. Humans had always been explorers, and they had always been curious. But curiosity came with risk. The crew felt it in their bones. Something immense, something not entirely human was observing them. Let's get closer, Ilara said. Humans face what others fear. We do not flee. We study, we survive. We adapt. The horizon's edge inched forward. The air on the bridge was tense, every crew member aware that instruments could fail at any moment. Yet humans were resourceful. Engineers reconfigured consoles to detect anomalies manually. Scientists watched the data, interpreting patterns instead of relying on machines alone. Soldiers prepared for threats, though none could predict what form danger might take here. Suddenly the ship shuddered. A wave of energy rippled across the hull like the pulse of a heartbeat, and the crew felt it through metal and bone alike. Impact? Lieutenant Rylan asked, gripping the console. No physical impact, Athena replied. This is an energy resonance. The structure is aware. It is testing us. Ilara's eyes narrowed. Testing, huh? Humans have been tested before. We adapt, we survive. We will pass. The structure pulsed again. Light shifted, forming patterns that danced across the viewports. It was not communication humans could immediately understand, but there was intent, purpose, life, perhaps even intelligence beyond imagination. Captain, Dr. Syra whispered, it's showing shapes, symbols. Maybe it wants us to understand. Maybe it's curious like us. Ilara nodded slowly. Then we answer with what humans do best. Observation, creativity, courage. Let's see what we can learn. The ship moved closer still, entering a region where gravity and energy fluctuated unpredictably. Instruments failed completely. Humans relied on intuition, coordination, and improvisation. They adapted to conditions that no algorithm could predict. Then came the first anomaly that truly shook the crew. A fragment of the structure's surface appeared to reach toward the ship, not physically but energetically. Patterns of light wrapped around the horizon's edge, interacting with its shields. It was not an attack, but it was intimate, invasive, and unlike anything humans had ever experienced. Captain, Lieutenant Rylan said, voice tight. The energy, it's probing. I don't think it's dangerous, but it's sensing us. Ilara felt a thrill run through her. This was humanity at its best, staring into the unknown, meeting intelligence far beyond themselves, and responding with courage, logic, and intuition. Keep calm, she said. Humans do not panic. We observe, adapt, and learn. Athena, maintain shields. Dr. Khan, record every anomaly. This is history. The crew followed her lead, steadying themselves. Humans had done impossible things before. Settled hostile planets, fought against stronger species, survived cosmic storms. And here at the very edge of the galaxy, they were doing it again. Hours passed. The horizon's edge drifted closer to the structure. Light pulses formed patterns that seemed to mimic human thought. Curves that resembled neurons. Flashes that hinted at memory. The crew began to speculate. Maybe it stores knowledge, and Sarah said, eyes wide. Civilizations long gone. Maybe even pre-human civilizations. It's like a library but alive, Ilara nodded. Humans have always been learners. And we are nothing if not curious. We must continue. We must understand. Then came a sudden shift. The ship was surrounded by a storm of energy, twisting space around them. The bridge lights flickered. Consoles glowed erratically. For a moment, the crew feared the worst, but humans adapted. Engineers rerouted power manually. Scientists recalculated trajectories in real time. Soldiers maintained order, and Captain Ilara Quinn kept her calm, her voice steady, guiding them through chaos. We hold together, she said firmly. Humans do not break. We solve, we survive. Steady now. The storm passed. The structure remained, seemingly observing but not hostile. The crew exhaled, relief mixed with exhilaration. They had survived the first true test, and humans thrived under pressure. Dr. Syra turned to Alara, her face alight with wonder. "Captain, this is incredible. It's more than a structure. It's a record of life, knowledge, maybe even consciousness itself, and it responded to us. Humans, our presence, our mind, interacted with it." Alara smiled faintly. "That's what humans do. We explore, we adapt, we survive, and sometimes we leave marks where no one else dares." The crew of the Horizon's Edge looked out at the structure, knowing they had crossed into a realm no human had ever seen. The Galactic Edge was no longer a boundary. It was a gateway, and humans had stepped through it. As night fell, or at least what passed for night in the void of space, the crew gathered in small clusters on the bridge. Some were silent, awed by the alien beauty outside. Others discussed possibilities, theories, and strategies. But all shared one feeling: pride. Humanity had survived, adapted, and persisted even here, where no one else could. Captain Alara Quinn stood again at the viewport, watching the luminous structure. She felt the weight of responsibility, the thrill of discovery, and the certainty that humans were exactly where they belonged. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "Humans do not stop at the edge. We do not stop at fear. We move forward, we learn, and we survive." The Horizon's Edge drifted closer to the structure, ready to face whatever came next. Unknown trials awaited, and the crew would need courage, intelligence, and ingenuity. But humans had all of that and more. They had survived the impossible before, and they would do it again. The Horizon's Edge hovered just beyond the swirling lights of the Galactic Edge, closer to the colossal, semi-organic structure than ever before. Its sheer size was impossible to comprehend, stretching farther than any human mind could easily grasp. Even from a distance it pulsed with energy as if alive, and its surface shifted constantly, alternating between solid, transparent, and glowing forms. Captain Alara Quinn stood at the viewport, arms crossed, heart steady. She had led humans through many unknowns, but this was different. This was not just a physical unknown. This was intelligence beyond comprehension. "Athena," she said. "Status on external conditions. Any immediate threats?" The AI responded, calm as ever. "No direct threats detected. Structural fluctuations continue. Energy patterns suggest observation and assessment, not aggression. Probability of intelligent interaction, 96%. Alara's eyes narrowed. Humans were about to make first contact with something far older and more advanced than any known species. Their survival skills would be tested not against weapons, but against intellect and mystery. Dr. Syra Khan's console beeped urgently. "Captain!" "The structure is responding. Patterns of light are changing in rhythm with our communications." "What kind of communication?" Alara asked. "We tried sending mathematical constants, prime numbers, basic geometry, universal physics equations. The structure is echoing them back. But it's altering them, it's thinking, interpreting. It understands our intent, at least partially." A hum filled the bridge, subtle but undeniable. The entire ship seemed to vibrate with the resonance of the structure's energy. Crew members exchanged glances, fear mixed with awe. Lieutenant Ryland swallowed hard. "Captain, it's almost like it's alive, like it's aware of us, watching, judging, maybe even learning from us," Alara nodded. "Humans do not retreat from observation. We adapt, learn, and respond. Keep sending signals. Show it we mean no harm." The crew worked together seamlessly. They sent patterns, light pulses, and mathematical sequences. The structure responded in kind, though far more complex, folding patterns upon patterns. Humans were seeing shapes they had no names for, symbols that suggested entire histories compressed into forms of light. Dr. Syra's voice trembled as she spoke. "Captain, these patterns, they're showing civilizations, many of them extinct. I think it's a record, a library, a memory of the galaxy. Entire species, knowledge, cultures, all stored here." Alara's heart pounded. Humans had encountered alien archives before, but nothing like this. This was living knowledge, a conscious memory of countless civilizations. And now humans had the chance to touch it. "Prepare a scanning probe," Alara ordered. "We need to get closer, but we cannot risk the crew. Let's see what more we can learn." Engineers and scientists worked frantically, modifying the probe to withstand unpredictable energy flows. The probe launched, gliding toward the structure. Its instruments recorded vast streams of information, patterns that twisted and reformed, suggesting intelligence that was not linear like humans or machines, but holistic, all-encompassing. Dr. Sarah leaned forward, her eyes wide. "Captain, it's communicating, but not in words. It's showing concepts. Evolution, history, technology, even emotions. I think it's testing us, seeing if we can comprehend, adapt, and interact." Alara nodded slowly. Humans do not fail when faced with the impossible. Observe, learn, adapt, that is what makes us human. Hours passed as the horizon's edge hovered near the structure. The crew adjusted shields, recalibrated sensors manually, and analyzed incoming data. The structure's responses became more intricate, forming sequences that resembled neural pathways. It was as if they were seeing intelligence itself in its purest form. Lieutenant Ryland pointed at his console, voice tense. "Captain, it's creating patterns that resemble our neural activity. Is it reading our thoughts?" Ilara's eyes flickered. Not reading, observing, learning. Humans communicate not just with words or signals, but with intention, reasoning, and instinct. It senses that. That's why it responds the way it does. Dr. Sarah's hands flew over her instruments, trying to interpret the streams of data. "Captain, I think it wants cooperation, interaction. It's testing our curiosity, our intelligence, maybe even our morality. Everything we do here matters." Alara took a deep breath. Humans had always thrived in situations like this. On hostile planets, in war, or during disasters, humans had adapted where others failed. "Now was no different. Prepare the crew," she said firmly. "We are going to make contact. Not as conquerors, not as intruders, but as explorers. Humans face the unknown with courage and respect. That is what we show now." The horizon's edge moved closer still, guided by instinct and calculation. The structure's surface pulsed rhythmically, light patterns folding in and out, forming a bridge between understanding and mystery. Suddenly, the ship shuddered. The light patterns coalesced into shapes that resembled doors or gateways. They glowed warmly, invitingly. Dr. Sarah whispered, "Captain, it's giving us access. It wants us to see, to learn, to engage." Alara smiled faintly. Then we stepped forward. Humans do not hesitate at opportunity. We face it, explore it, and make history. The first direct contact was made when the horizon's edge's probes entered the structure's glowing gateway. The data streamed back at impossible speeds, revealing landscapes, cities, and civilizations unlike anything humans had imagined. Structures floated in gravity-defying arcs. Beings of pure energy moved with purpose, and entire ecosystems thrived under conditions that defied physics. Lieutenant Ryland leaned over, awestruck. "Captain, it's showing us civilizations that existed before humans, before even some of the oldest known species. They're gone, extinct, and yet here they live, in memory and knowledge." Dr. Sarah's voice shook with excitement. "Captain, this is beyond anything humans have ever encountered. The structure is not just a record. It's a preservation of life, intelligence, and culture. It's almost sacred." Alara's mind raced. Humans had always been learners, builders, and survivors. Here, at the edge of the galaxy, they were proving it again. "We approach carefully," she said. "We study, we adapt, we leave no harm behind. Humans respect knowledge. Humans respect life. That is our way." As the ship lingered, the structure pulsed again. This time the patterns formed shapes resembling humans. Not in detail, but in essence, intention, curiosity, and adaptability. It was recognition. "Humans were acknowledged, Captain. It recognizes us," Dr. Sarah breathed. "We're not just observers. We're part of this now." Alara felt a surge of pride. Humans had always reached further, faced challenges, and survived where others would fail. And now their courage and ingenuity were recognized by intelligence far beyond their understanding. Suddenly, Athena's voice cut through the awe. "Warning! Energy fluctuations increasing. Structural patterns suggest an imminent trial. Unknown variables detected. Recommend preparation for potential challenges." Alara nodded. "Humans thrive on challenges. We face them, we adapt, we overcome. Prepare the crew. We meet this as humans always do, together, with courage, intelligence, and unity." The horizon's edge stabilized as the structure's gateway widened. The light became almost tangible, enveloping the ship in a cocoon of knowledge and energy. Every crew member felt it, Ideas, memories, and emotions from civilizations long extinct flowed into their minds, not as language, but as pure understanding. Dr. Syra gasped. It's showing us lessons. Lessons from species that failed, that survived, that created and destroyed. It's testing our ability to comprehend, adapt, and learn. Humans, we are alive in ways that matter here. Our resilience, creativity, and morality are being measured. Ilara's heart swelled. This was humanity at its best. Facing the impossible, learning from it, adapting, and proving that they belonged not just at the edge of the galaxy, but anywhere. Hours passed, but it felt like minutes. The crew absorbed knowledge, deciphered patterns, and marveled at civilizations that existed long before them. The structure did not just record. It interacted, challenged, and guided. Finally, Ilara spoke. Humans have faced impossible odds before, and we survived. Today is no different. We learn, we adapt, we thrive. And we will leave this place stronger, wiser, and ready for what comes next. The horizon's edge remained in the glowing gateway, a small human vessel amid incomprehensible intelligence. Yet humans were not small in spirit. They were explorers, learners, and survivors. They had made contact, and humanity had proven once again that they belonged among the stars. The horizon's edge floated in the luminous cocoon created by the colossal structure at the galactic edge. The ship's hull shimmered with a soft, radiant glow as if the energy itself was alive, watching and anticipating every move of its human visitors. Captain Ilara Quinn stood on the bridge, her posture calm but alert. She could feel the weight of history pressing down, not just humanity's history, but the history of countless civilizations that had left their knowledge inside this living archive. This is incredible, Dr. Syra Khan murmured, her eyes glued to the streaming data. I can't describe it. The patterns, the energy, they're like memories made visible. We're seeing civilizations that existed millions, even billions of years ago. Some didn't survive, Ilara nodded. Humans have survived countless challenges. We adapt, we learn. That is what makes us human. And it is why we are here, at the edge of everything. The calm of the bridge shattered suddenly. A pulse of energy rippled through the ship, stronger than any before. Consoles blinked and flickered, warning lights flashing in rhythm with the structure's pulse. Athena's voice rang out calm but urgent. Captain, unknown variables detected. Energy fields forming complex geometries around the ship. Probability of interactive trial 98%. Recommend preparation for testing of crew's abilities. Ilara's gaze sharpened. Humans are no strangers to trials. We thrive under pressure. Prepare the crew. Focus on teamwork, observation, and ingenuity. Whatever comes, we face it together. Lieutenant Rylan exchanged glances with Dr. Syra. Captain, what kind of trial? Ilara smiled faintly. The kind humans always face, one that tests courage, intellect, and morality. We adapt, we survive. That is who we are. The energy pulse condensed, forming shapes outside the viewport. Geometric constructs floated in the void, shifting unpredictably. Some resembled obstacles. Others resembled mazes. Lights coalesced into patterns resembling pathways, each one branching infinitely. Dr. Syra gasped. It's creating challenges for us. Tests, puzzles, logic sequences, physical simulations. It's testing our adaptability. Ilara's voice was steady. Then we meet the challenge. Humans do not retreat from difficulty. We solve it. The first trial began. The ship was drawn into a gravitational anomaly, twisting space itself. The bridge tilted unnaturally. Instruments went haywire, giving conflicting readings. Crew members braced themselves as the horizon's edge began a slow spin in the distorted field. Athena, Ilara commanded, stabilize the ship as best as you can. Manual overrides ready. Stabilization at 50%, Athena responded. Gravity and spatial distortions exceed standard parameters. Human intuition required for navigation. This was exactly what humans excelled at. Machines could follow rules, but humans adapted to unpredictable chaos. Engineers worked feverishly, recalculating power flows. Scientists interpreted the distorted readings. Soldiers monitored every system for failures. Lieutenant Rylan gritted his teeth. Captain, the pathways outside, they're changing. The obstacles, they react to us. Ilara nodded. Adapt, observe, act. That is what humans do. Improvisation is our strength. We do what others cannot. Hours passed as the crew navigated the shifting mazes. They combined intuition, logic, and creativity in ways Athena could not compute. At one point, a fragment of energy shaped itself into a challenge simulating a collapsing civilization. Humans had to make split-second decisions to save projected life forms, demonstrating moral judgment alongside technical skill. Dr. Syra watched in awe. It's testing more than skill. It's testing our ethics, our reasoning, our humanity. Every decision matters. It's judging us. Ilara's expression was calm. Then we act as humans always do. We make choices that honor life, logic, and ingenuity. We learn, we adapt, and we persevere. The trials intensified. Some challenges were physical simulations, creating intense gravitational waves and energy storms that threatened the ship's integrity. Others were intellectual, presenting riddles of physics, patterns, and time itself. And some were moral, forcing the crew to make decisions where every option carried weight and consequence. Humans thrived under pressure. Engineers improvised solutions where no protocol existed. Scientists decoded impossible sequences with creative thinking. Soldiers maintained order and focus, and Captain Ilara's leadership kept the crew united, even as the environment tested every skill they had. One trial stood out. A massive energy pattern formed around the ship, resembling an extinct civilization city. The structures were fragile simulations, collapsing under the smallest error. Humans were asked to stabilize it, to preserve the memory without knowing exactly what it represented. Dr. Sarah's hands shook as she worked. Captain, if we fail, it will be gone. The knowledge, the memory. Forever lost, Ilara's eyes hardened. Then we do not fail. Humans protect knowledge. Humans preserve life. That is our way. The crew worked together seamlessly. Ideas flowed freely. Humans proposed solutions machines could not calculate. They adjusted energy flows, synchronized shields with external pulses, and stabilized the simulation. Slowly, the structures outside solidified, glowing with radiant light as if alive. Dr. Sarah whispered, awestruck, Captain, we did it, we preserved it. The structure. It acknowledged our success. Ilara nodded. Humans learn, adapt, and persevere. That is why we survive where others do not. That is why we thrive. The structure's energy shifted again, calmer now. Patterns formed shapes resembling stars and constellations. It was as if the archive itself was communicating, not in words but in concepts. Lessons from extinct civilizations, triumphs, failures, innovations, and moral choices, all laid bare for human understanding. Lieutenant Ryland's voice broke the silence. Captain, it's showing us civilizations that existed before even the oldest known species. It's history, wisdom, preserved here, and now we're part of it. Ilara felt pride swell in her chest. Humans had crossed the galactic edge, survived trials that tested mind, body, and morality, and earned recognition from intelligence far beyond their own. Humans were not just survivors, they were innovators, learners, and guardians. Dr. Syra's hands flew over her instruments. Captain, I can't describe the scale. It's knowledge, unimaginable knowledge. Science, philosophy, art, history, everything. And it's being shared with us. The structure, it trusts us. Ilara's eyes scanned the glowing patterns outside. Humans earn trust by action, by resilience, by integrity. We have shown all three, and now we learn. We carry this forward, not for ourselves, but for humanity. The trials continued, but the crew grew stronger with each challenge. They adapted faster, solved problems more efficiently, and worked together more cohesively. Humans had always thrived when pushed to limits, and here, at the edge of the galaxy, they demonstrated that once again. Hours became days. The horizon's edge navigated through wave after wave of energy trials. The structure presented puzzles that spanned physics, ethics, and abstract concepts humans had never conceived. Yet the crew solved them, sometimes intuitively, sometimes creatively, always as a team. Finally, the structure pulsed once more, calm now. Light patterns coalesced into forms that resembled humans. Not exact, but symbolic. Recognition, respect. A silent acknowledgement that humans had proven themselves worthy of contact, of knowledge, and of trust. Dr. Sarah turned to Ilara, eyes shining. Captain, it's giving us access, full access, to knowledge, history, and wisdom. Entire civilizations, preserved in energy, in memory. And it trusts us to learn responsibly, Ilara smiled, pride swelling. Humans earn knowledge by facing challenges, adapting, and proving their worth. Today we've done that, but we are only beginning. There is more to learn, more to explore, and more to understand. That is the human way. The horizon's edge remained within the structure's glowing cocoon, the crew exhilarated, exhausted, and enlightened. Humans had faced the ultimate test of adaptability, intelligence, and morality, and triumphed. They had shown that survival was not just instinct, but ingenuity. Courage, intelligence, and cooperation made humans remarkable. The structure pulsed gently, as if acknowledging the human's accomplishment, and for the first time, the crew understood something profound. The galaxy was filled with knowledge, intelligence, and life far beyond their understanding, but humans had the ability to engage with it, learn from it, and even contribute. Captain Ilara Quinn stood at the viewport, looking out at the endless patterns of light and energy. She felt the weight of responsibility, yes, but also the exhilaration of discovery. Humans had crossed the edge, faced trials that would have stopped any other species, and proven that they belonged not just among the stars, but among the keepers of knowledge themselves. "This is our moment," she said softly. "Humans have survived, adapted, and thrived, and now we begin to learn what no human has ever known. Together." The horizon's edge hovered in the cosmic glow, a small human vessel amid incomprehensible intelligence. Yet humans were not small in spirit. They were explorers, learners, and survivors. And at the edge of the galaxy, they had proven once again that they were unstoppable. The horizon's edge glided through the luminous cocoon surrounding the colossal structure. At the galactic edge, inside, the crew was silent, their eyes glued to consoles, viewports, and data streams. Every moment was a flood of knowledge, history, and understanding far beyond human comprehension. The structure had opened itself fully to them, sharing the collective memory of civilizations long gone, species older than any known in human space, civilizations that had risen and fallen over eons, and knowledge that made human science and philosophy seem only the first steps in a long journey. Captain Ilara Quinn stood at the bridge's center, calm yet focused. Humans had survived impossible odds, faced the unknown, and adapted in ways machines could not, and now they were being gifted the fruits of countless civilizations' intelligence. Dr. Syra Khan's voice trembled with awe. "Captain, this is incredible. We're seeing technologies that defy physics as we know it, societies that solved problems we haven't even imagined, and it's all stored here. All of it, and it's sharing with us." Ilara's lips curved in a small smile. "Humans have always reached farther than others. We adapt, we learn, and we survive, and now we take what we learn and use it to become better, stronger, wiser." Lieutenant Rylan leaned over a console, still trying to process the endless streams of information. "Captain, there's so much. I can't even begin to understand it all. It's like seeing the entire galaxy's memory at once, and it feels alive, conscious, like it's guiding us." Ilara nodded. "That is exactly what it is, Rylan. Intelligence doesn't have to be human to be remarkable. And humans have always thrived by learning from what others could not. Now is no different. We adapt, we grow, and we take responsibility for what we learn." The structure pulsed gently, almost approvingly. It had tested the crew when they had passed, not just in intellect or skill, but in morality, ingenuity, and perseverance. Humans had faced challenges that would have broken any other species and had survived. They had shown curiosity, respect, and courage, the traits that had defined humanity across millennia. Hours passed as the crew absorbed knowledge. History of civilizations, advanced mathematics, energy manipulation far beyond human capability, philosophical insights, and strategies for survival in hostile environments streamed in. Humans had never had access to such intelligence, and it changed them already. Every mind on the horizon's edge was expanded, sharpened, and inspired. Dr. Syra's fingers flew over her console. "Captain, it's more than just knowledge. It's teaching us how to apply it, how to survive as a species, how to grow, how to explore responsibly, and it's showing us the consequences of failure. Civilizations that stagnated or misused knowledge, they disappeared. That could have been us." Ilara's gaze hardened, tempered with hope. "Then we will not fail. Humans do not stagnate. We face challenges, adapt, and learn. That is why we survive where others do not. That is why we thrive, and now we carry the wisdom of the galaxy with us. Lieutenant Ryland's voice was awed.
Captain.
It's showing us our future, possibilities, paths humanity could take. We can grow, explore, and learn faster than ever. But Ike, the responsibility is immense, Alara nodded. Responsibility is part of being human. We do not run from it. We meet it, adapt, and master it. That is why humans belong among the stars. The horizon's edge began its slow departure from the structure. The luminous energy cocoon gradually receded, revealing the familiar stars of human-mapped space beyond the galactic edge. Yet nothing was truly familiar anymore. Humans had changed. Humanity had changed. The galaxy was no longer distant, abstract, or mysterious. It was a living library of intelligence, and humans had entered its halls. Athena's voice was calm as ever. Captain, navigation systems indicate the return route is stable. External energy readings normalizing. Data integrity intact, suggesting successful acquisition of knowledge. Excellent, Alara said. Prepare for jump to known space. We have much to report and more to share. Humanity has taken the next step. But remember, our work is only beginning. Knowledge is not power unless we act on it responsibly. The crew moved efficiently, their minds still buzzing with information but focused on the journey home. Humans had always been explorers, always learners, always survivors. And now, they carried the legacy of the galaxy itself. During the jump, Dr. Sarah leaned on the rail, staring at the viewports.
Captain.
I feel changed, smarter, wiser, but also humbled. The universe is so vast, and we are only beginning. Alara placed a hand on her shoulder. Humans have always begun. That is our nature. We explore, we adapt, we grow. Today we've begun a new chapter, one with knowledge that no human has ever held. But knowledge without action is meaningless. Humanity must use it wisely. Lieutenant Ryland spoke quietly.
Captain.
Once we return, humanity will never be the same. We've seen civilizations that rose and fell. We've seen wisdom older than stars, and we survived, learned, and adapted. We've proven what humans can do. Alara smiled faintly. That is what humans always do. Others may doubt, others may fear, but we survive. We learn, we grow, and we carry the light of understanding into the darkness. That is what makes us human. That is why we thrive. Hours later, the horizon's edge emerged back into the mapped sectors of human space. Signals from nearby colonies and stations were finally detectable. Communications were restored. Humanity was waiting, unaware of the knowledge the vessel carried. Captain, Dr. Sarah said softly, when we return, everything will change. Our science, our philosophy, our understanding of life and the universe. It will all be transformed. We're not just returning with knowledge. We're returning as a species that has touched the unimaginable. Alara's gaze was steady, eyes reflecting the stars. Then we return not as conquerors, not as mere explorers, but as learners and leaders. Humanity must take this knowledge and use it wisely. Share it responsibly. Adapt, survive, and thrive. That is our mission. That is who we are. As the ship approached the nearest human colony, reports began to stream in. Colonies were safe, communications normal. Yet everything about humanity would change. The knowledge of the galactic edge, the wisdom of civilizations long extinct, and the confirmation that humans could survive trials no one else could. This was a new beginning. The crew of the Horizon's Edge gathered in the bridge's center. There was no fanfare, no celebration, only a quiet, shared understanding. Humans had crossed the edge, survived tests, and gained wisdom that no other species could claim. They were stronger, wiser, and ready for the challenges ahead. Alara looked at her crew, pride swelling. Humans have always been more than they seemed. We adapt, we survive, and we thrive where others fail. Today, we've proven that once again. And now, humanity steps into a new era. One where the galaxy itself will know that humans are not just explorers. They are keepers of knowledge, learners of the unimaginable, and survivors beyond measure. Lieutenant Ryland smiled faintly.
Captain.
Humanity will never be the same, and I
am proud to be part of it, Dr. Sarah added, her voice calm but awed. Captain, we've seen civilizations rise and fall. We've seen intelligence beyond our imagination, and we survived, learned, and earned a place among it. Humanity, we've truly arrived. Alara's voice was steady, filled with quiet authority and pride. Then let's return home. Humanity has work to do. We have knowledge to share, wisdom to preserve, and a future to shape. We have faced the unimaginable and survived. That is what humans do. That is who we are. The horizon's edge moved through the familiar stars, but humanity itself had changed. Humans were no longer just explorers. They were pioneers of intelligence, guardians of knowledge, and survivors of the unimaginable. And as the ship crossed the threshold of human-mapped space, the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges, mysteries, and wonders. But humans, curious, adaptable, and unbreakable, were ready. Captain Alara Quinn stood at the viewport, her hand resting lightly on the console. She felt the pride of humanity, the weight of responsibility, and the thrill of discovery. Humans had breached the galactic edge, faced intelligence beyond comprehension, and emerged transformed.